reflection, introspection, celebration, instrumentation, gumption. Alice in Chains are back with Rainier Fog. Rather fittingly for this review, we have some ominous dark clouds looming over my fair isle of Englandhamshire, but that will not stop the review. Rainier Fog is the follow-up to 2013's The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here. Now, this is actually the first album of Alice in Chains that I've actually bothered listening to since the self-titled album back in 1995. Huge Alice in Chains fan. It's such a genuine loss when the great Lane Staley passed away. But that's not the reason I haven't listened to the band. It's nothing, I've got no issue with William Duvall. I think actually from what I've seen of the guy, he seems to be a more than competent guitarist and vocalist. Does very well with the band, and I'm not one of those people who thinks that they shouldn't carry on or they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. I don't know, they just kind of fell off the radar for me a little after Lane passed away. Stop digressing! I digress! Now, Alice in Chains of course are classed as grunge, which is a label I don't really feel it applies to many bands, to be quite honest. I thought it was one of those bullshit categories because so many of the grunge bands, they had their own unique style, they had their own unique sounds. But I think it's fair to say that along with Soundgarden, Alice in Chains are without a shadow of a doubt my favourite of that crop of bands. They owe far more to Sabbath than they do to anyone else, and Jerry Cantrell has never hidden his love of the riffage of Mr. Iommi, Lord Iommi. And the lineup for this band is pretty much the same it's been since they reformed in 2006. Jerry Cantrell obviously on guitar and vocals, Mike Inez on bass, we have Sean Kinney on drums, and we have William Duvall, as I mentioned earlier, on guitar and vocals. The title of this album refers to Mount Rainier, which is a mountain peak not far from Seattle. Very fitting because first of all, the album was the first time the band had recorded in Seattle since the self-titled 1995 album, or Three-Legged Dog album, as some refer it to. Not only did they return to Seattle, but they're making homage to the people they've lost over the years. The studio itself was also where Soundgarden recorded Super Unknown, and apparently one of the tracks on this album was actually recorded using an acoustic guitar that used to belong to Chris Cornell. Apparently it was one of his songwriting guitars, so I'm not quite sure which track it was on, but I did read the interview about that in Total Guitar, don't you know. But this is very much an album that draws on their past, looks at their ghosts. Very introspective album, very reflective album, but also a hopeful and positive album. Seem to be looking at their past, seeing where they've been, seeing what they've gone through, and seeing where they're going. And everything, I would say, seems pretty good. You cheesy bastard. I think I've flanged on more than enough, so I think we're going to get into some songs. Track number 1, we've got The One You Know. Great start to an album. Straight away you've got those harmonised vocals that we immediately associate with Alice in Chains. The Iommian riffage, really sludgy, layered, heavy guitars. We got ourselves a really catchy chorus, some great lead playing. I actually assumed that it was Cantrell, but I know for a fact that there are quite a few of the solos on this album which were done by William Duvall, and he does a great job, so I'm not quite sure what's what. Really enjoyed the chorus on this one. Tell me, does it matter if I'm still here or I'm gone? Shifting to the after, an imposter. I'm not the one you know, thank you. Put labels on me. Next up we have the title track itself, Rainier Fog. Not really sure I needed to reiterate that. Some really, really nice catchy riffs. Heavy, sludgy riffs on this one. And again, we have a great interplay between Jerry and William on the vocals. If you go down to the woods today. The lyrics in this song seem to deal with the band looking back at the scene that they started out in, the Seattle scene, and just how far they've come since then, what they've gone through. Very reflective tone, not just on this song but throughout the album. The bridge section of the song according to Cantrell, was supposedly written about Lane, but after looking at it, I think he realised that it could apply to many of the people that they've lost over the years. Chris Cornell, of course, last year being one of them. Left me here so all alone, only for me to find. Here your voice always will grow. It calls inside my mind. I've forgotten the lyrics. Really great song, this one. Next up we have Red Giant. Why did I say red like that? Next up we got Red Giant. Starts out with a really, really nice heavy riff. And again, the harmonised vocals that we expect from said band. I play the clown for you, entertaining absurd hue. As I watch them laugh, I'd love to see them clap and dance to my tune. Some great solos on this one. Has to be said that Mike and Sean sound fantastic as the rhythm section, holding everything down throughout the entirety of the album. And so far we are 3 songs in, and I'm really, really loving this album. Next song we have is Fly, and this one had a much more 90s sounding chorus pedal effect on the guitar that worked well. This one had a bit more of a poppier vibe on the vocal pattern, and a very nice use of acoustic guitar throughout said track. A glorious sound, if you will. And you're gonna fall out, you're gonna break down, choke and cry, waiting out the storm till the skies are clear to fly. Tragically, Lane Staley is with us no more, and of course he's missed, but there's absolutely no denying the calibre, the high calibre of songwriting displayed on this album. There are a couple of songs on this album that I felt could have quite easily sat on the Dirt album. Of course, they're classic, and this next song, Drones, is one of them. Starts out with a very Sabbath inspired riff, and fittingly enough has a very drone vibe to it. You've got some huge power chords on here, and it also morphs into a very pretty sounding bridge section. The songwriting is really on point. I really was not expecting to enjoy this album as much as I... The fuck? Should these animals be making these noises? I'm not sure I like this. I'm scared. I'm so scared. Next song we've got is Deaf Ears, Blind Eyes. Another one with a very Sabbath inspired riffage. This one's got another very Sabbath inspired harmonised guitar line. It works very well. And the harmonised vocals on this song I really, really enjoyed. The song sounds heavy, but it's catchy, and it's got a nostalgic feel to it as well. Feel like a fake thing. Where did the time go? Memories we're making pass by the window. Ain't that the truth? God, I'm old. Next up we have Maybe. Maybe. This one started out with a vocal harmony that reminded me very much of Carry On Wayward Son, before going into essentially an acoustic ballad. Remember, calm December. One life can live forever. Ain't nowhere that safe for a lonely pretender. I'm shooting straight for the target centre. Good lyrics and solo. Wasn't immediately taken with this one. This might grow on me a little more. Not a bad song by any stretch, but the one on the album that kind of meh. Next up we have So Far Under. Much heavier feel on this one, and this is another one of the songs that wouldn't have seemed out of place on the Dirt album. Classic Alice in Chains vocals. Very much enjoyed this song. Apparently this one was written primarily by William Duvall, and the solo on it is William as well, contributing very nicely, I thought. Quite a talented mofo, this William. The trap is time, and no one gets off this ride alive. Next up we have Never Fade. I already did a video on this one, but check it out after. Come back to this one later, finish this video first, then watch that one. I did say in that review that had a bit of a dad rock feel on the main riff on this one. I have to say it's grown on me a little more. Listened to it quite a few more times now, and works much better. Really fantastic chorus. Loved the chorus on this one, very anthemic. Apparently the music in the chorus of this was written by Cantrell. He wanted to come up with some verses for it, obviously, and apparently William Duvall, again, when he was late in the studio, ended up writing the verses, and they were inspired by the death of his grandmother and also the death of Chris Cornell, which keeps coming on up in this album. Fantastic song, really great song. And it's starting to rain. How convenient. Why is that convenient? And finally we have All I Am. This is a 7-minute plus epic closer, very fitting closer to the album. Song's about looking at your life, looking what you've done, and asking yourself, is this all I am? In fact, is this all I am is actually a vocal that appears in said song. Cannot recognize the face before me. It's unfamiliar. This has a very reflective vibe, very sparkly sounding clean guitars as well, that morphs into more rockier territory as the song progresses. And yeah, this is a truly epic sounding song that they quite rightly chose to close the album. Really, really great song, great album. I would give this a 9 out of 10. I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting to enjoy this album anywhere close to the amount I did. I said earlier about how I kind of hadn't really written the band off. I just kind of let them fall off the radar. Maybe in a way I had done. Maybe that's actually exactly what I'd done. Maybe I had written the band off without Lane, thinking that it just wouldn't work. Maybe enough time has passed for me to not associate the band with Lane anymore, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, rambling on. That's what you call the reviews. But yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, really enjoyable album. Some stellar songwriting on this. Great contributions from all the band. Everyone sounds amazing. Enjoyed the production of it very much. And yeah, I really didn't anticipate enjoying this album as much as I did. If this is the sort of quality they're capable of producing, then I'm back on board. I'll say that right now. Great album, absolutely fantastic. Check it out. So, what have we coming up next? Well, actually picked up a couple of albums. The new Mark Lanegan album, which I had not intended on getting, but I went to purchase this album and happened to see that by the side and got that as well, so maybe I'll have a look at that. There's another band called Interpol, I think they are. Gonna check them out. I have no idea what they're like. I just one of those ones. I saw the cover, I thought, oh, I'll check that out. I've got the final subscriber request for Simon O'Connor to do for his prize, which was the debut Soulfly album. Soulfly, that will be coming out at some point. And I don't know what else there'll be. There's fucking loads coming up. In a couple of weeks we got the new Clutch album. Very, very much looking forward to that. My God, do I love Clutch. And there's some really great stuff coming out. I think on that weekend, actually, there's a ton of good stuff. Pig Destroyer. Who else have we got? Spiritualized. I'm going to check them out. Paul McCartney. Don't know, maybe I'll check that out, I don't know. But yeah, there's a whole lot of great stuff coming out, and it looks like there's some amazing albums coming out in September and October especially, when we get to High on Fire, Behemoth. There's rumours of Rammstein dropping an album towards the tail end of the year as well. I haven't heard too much more about that, but that would be phenomenal. I would highly enjoy reviewing a Rammstein album. That would be great. Anyway, I've gone on way too fucking long, so I'm going to leave you guys be. Do your thing, and don't you go changing. You stay just the way you are. Well, unless of course you're a fucking weird creepy fuck, in which case, you know,